What's going on, world? My name's Vince, and I'm here to talk today about asking for some prayer and some things that I am alleging that have happened to me in recent years and over quite a few years now. So I'm going to go ahead and just start to talk about that. First and foremost, what I'm alleging in this message is that, and even asking for help if anyone else in the world may hear this and actually have proof of some of these things. My allegation is that I've been harassed for quite some time now. My allegation is by a man named Jim Nicodem from Christ Community Church in St. Charles, and also DeKalb and other campuses here in Illinois. My allegation is that I have been severely harassed by him. Also, a man named Larry Breeden, I'm alleging, and also other people in their church, I am alleging. I'm alleging that this harassment started years ago, even in 2009, 2010. And my allegation is that it started with some really weird things being said and done to me around the church, and it led ultimately to one thing before it got worse. My allegation is that this man, Jim Nicodem, this man Larry Breeden, also one of their workers by a man I'm alleging named Dumbacher, who used to work at the church in DeKalb and then I believe moved to Texas. My allegation is that these men and some other men in the church started to harass me because they wanted to force me to have sex with the woman from their congregation by the name of Chrystal. That is my allegation against them. I am not allowed right now and on YouTube to say that these are facts, but I am making these public allegations. I'm also saying that I'm also alleging that the sexual harassment in this was so severe and that I was told things repeatedly, I'm alleging, by these people and trying to force me to have sex with this woman. And I'm hoping that if there is someone out there that has also been harassed in this manner by any of these people, that they might come forward with proof or facts of these things. So my allegation is that I have been harassed by these people, and I know that there is one saying. I'm alleging that there is one saying that these people had. So I would say that I know that I'm alleging that there is one saying that these people had that would, when they would try to force me to have sex with this woman, and that saying was just one special saying, one special phrase that they kept using, I'm alleging, to try to force me to have sex with this woman. So I'm not going to repeat that phrase publicly, but I'm going to keep that private for a reason, so that way if anyone else out there has been harassed by these people in the manner that I'm alleging that they've harassed me, I'm asking that they would come forward to the authorities. This may be even seen as a form of terrorism, so it may be possible to contact the FBI about this. So I'm alleging that I was sexually harassed to try to be with this woman, Chrystal. I did not want to, and that the harassment got steadily worse and worse and worse and led to other things. I'm also alleging that this woman, Chrystal, that we did have a couple of private conversations where I'm alleging that this woman knows that these people were trying to harass me. That is my allegation. I'm including her in this. I'm alleging that this woman knows that these men and people from the church were trying to force me to be with her. I'm alleging that it was found humorous by her, and I'm alleging that if she were willing, she would be able to testify publicly to the court or to the world that she knows of these things that I am alleging against these people and even her. So that is my allegation. I'm alleging that Jim Nicodem and Larry Breeden, after this harassment, and I'm alleging that this harassment got so much worse that after I refused to be with this person, I'm alleging that that I was pulled to the side by these men is my next allegation against them. I'm alleging that these men pulled me to the side and started to tell me some way out things about themselves and their church. So that is my allegation. I'm going to speak of these things right now, but first I want to say I know that it might seem weird of why would I stay there? Why would I allow this? Why didn't I just leave? And I'm going to say that I wanted to, but my allegation is, my claim is that for some reason I felt inspired or strengthened by God to need to go through this, and that somehow deep in my spirit I'm making this allegation and claim. I don't know if I can say this as a fact, but I'm making the allegation and claim is that somewhere deep in my spirit I felt like I needed to go through what these people were trying to do to me, is my allegation against them, and in what I'm claiming that I felt from God, so that one day I'm alleging that I would be able to expose them, and I'm hoping that day might be soon. So I'm also asking for prayer for this, that even if the world does not believe me, since I can only make allegations and claims at this point, especially on YouTube, I'm also asking that even if the world does not believe me, that someone out there, people out there, might pray for God's truth and justice according to my allegations, even if it's not fully believed. So my next allegation is that, and my claim is that somehow I felt like I had to go through this. I know it sounds weird, but it's just helped me to understand life in different ways, because it did, what I'm alleging is that it got much worse after this. So next, after a while of this going on, I'm alleging, and after I refused and it got worse, I'm alleging next that I was pulled to the side by Jim Nicodem at his church by some church meetings that were going on at that time, because they would have public church gatherings for different reasons, and I was pulled to the side, and these gatherings would be for worship or for prayer, and then there would be breaks in between, and people would go about and walk around and mingle a little bit. And I'm alleging that I was pulled to the side by this Jim Nicodem after already I'm alleging being harassed by men in the DeKalb campus, because I was pulled to the side, I'm alleging, at the St. Charles campus. But after I'm alleging being harassed by men in the DeKalb campus, even in what I'm claiming and alleging was my men's group, and men trying to force me, according to my allegations against these people, to have sex with that woman. And so after this, I'm alleging I was pulled to the side by this Jim Nicodem. I'm alleging that he had knowledge and even coordinated this, I was told, for some reason, and that I was told by this man that I was shameful. I'm alleging that I was told by this man that I was shameful for not offering myself sexually to this woman, Chrystal Harness, in their church, because their church believed that I should. I'm alleging just because we were in the same campus, kind of close to the same age, and both single, I'm alleging that the church decided behind the scenes that I should be forced to offer myself to this woman when I refused to. And I'm alleging that that led to a lot of severe harassment. I'm alleging that this man, Jim Nicodem, after this going on for a while, came and told me that I was shameful, I'm alleging, for not offering myself to this woman sexually. I'm alleging that this man proceeded to tell me that he wanted to rape and kill children. I'm alleging and claiming that I was very distraught and angered by this, but for some reason God strengthened me not to physically harm him or get in trouble in that way, although I'm claiming that I did get in trouble later other ways. But I'm also going to claim later and allege that a lot of the things that happened later were distorted. I'm alleging by the police. I'm going to allege later that I was threatened not to come forward to the courthouse against him or he would have help. I'm alleging that when I did go to the courthouse, that I was almost thrown out and yelled at for making a claim against him. I'm alleging that police documents and the trouble that I have gotten in recent years in trying to expose him here in this county. I'm alleging that that police documents have been distorted and that I've been harassed. I'm alleging even by police and even by a doctor and making false claims against me. And I'm alleging that paperwork has been distorted, but I will talk more about that later. So right now, back to the present situation that I was speaking of, I am making the allegation that Jim Nicodem told me that he wanted, I'm sorry, I'm at a public library and a sound studio, so there's people going by. I'm making I'm making the allegation and claim that Jim Nicodem himself told me that he wanted to rape and kill children. I'm making the claim that I was strengthened by God not to physically harm him. I'm making the claim and allegation that I was strengthened by God that one day I would need to expose him and that it just wasn't happening yet for some reason. I'm making the allegation and claim that I was told by him again that I was shameful for not offering myself to this woman, Chrystal Harness, that I'm alleging his church wanted to force me to be with for no good reason other than I'm alleging it seemed humorous to them. I'm also alleging, and this next one is hard for me to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm alleging that this man told me that he wanted to have sex with men rather than be a public pastor if it was not for his self-honor and his money. And I'm alleging and claiming that this made me very sad and angry to hear, because I would think that a pastor, I'm alleging in his supposed stature, I'm going to allege that years before I heard a message by this man talking about homosexuality, and that I felt uncomfortable with his message because I'm going to allege that I felt uncomfortable with his message because, to me, I'm alleging and claiming it seemed more like making fun of homosexuals, and it just did not sit right with me. But that's only an allegation and a claim that I can make. I cannot state that as a fact unless he were to come forward, and I'm alleging if he were to come forward and admit that. I cannot make him or anyone from the church do that. But again, since I'm alleging these things and claiming these things and cannot state them as facts, I'm asking for anyone and people listening to pray for God's truth and justice according to my allegations. So I'm alleging that this man told me that he would rather have sex with men if it was not for his money and his self-honor, and that it made me uncomfortable, I'm alleging, because I'm claiming and alleging that I heard this man say things that seemed to be making fun of homosexuals in my sight, and that I would think that a pastor or people in a church, I'm alleging and claiming, would have a sense of acceptance in that we all need God. Straight men, gay men, anyone that it is, women, whatever it is, and that we all need God in one way or another, and that it made me very uncomfortable, I'm alleging, to be harassed by a man who wanted to force me to have sex with someone I did not want to have sex with. I'm making that allegation, and then tell me these things. And also I'm alleging that this man told me that he wanted to rape and kill children, and it led to much worse things. These things were so bad, I'm alleging it led to much worse things, and that these things were so bad and got so bad that my sister passed away in 2013, and that I wasn't able to be there to spend time with my sister as I wish I could have. I'm alleging because of this harassment, and I'm alleging that this harassment was so bad at that time that people would actually yell at me in different times, and I'm alleging would tell me that I'm wrong for not offering myself to this woman, and that at this time in 2013 that harassment remained, I'm alleging. I'm alleging that another man that harassed me here in DeKalb in Sycamore, Illinois, is by the name of Jason Draper. I'm alleging that I was also harassed by this person as I started to try to go to a different church and different churches to get away with this, to get away from this, that I did not want to be around this a little bit more, and I was trying to get away from it. And I'm alleging that Jason Draper harassed me while my sister was at the hospital on her deathbed. I believe that I called him to speak to somebody else from a church outside of Christ Community, and I'm alleging that this man came to the hospital so-called to comfort me, and I'm alleging that while my sister was on her deathbed, I'm alleging that this man told me that now it should be crystal clear to me that my sister was dying because God was paying me back for not offering myself sexually to the woman Chrystal Harness. And that's when I'm alleging the harassment got so much worse publicly around these small towns of DeKalb and Sycamore. So again, if anyone is listening to this and doesn't believe me, since I cannot state these are facts, I am asking for help and prayer for God's truth and justice according to my allegations. I'm alleging that in this small town, I'm going to state the fact that in this small town, there is a church circuit called Love Inc., and that in this church circuit, all different churches are joined. I'm alleging that this is such a small town and that so many people know each other and the churches are so closely connected that it started to surprise me at that time on earth, but it does not surprise me now. And I'm going to make more allegations of how I've seen the connections in this small town, and I'm going to make the allegations of how more people have harassed me, even at the courthouse, and I'm alleging even at the police, both against the courthouse and the police. I'm going to make the allegation later that I was threatened not to come forward against this man. I'm going to make the allegation that the courthouse and lawyers and even police have protected him. I'm going to tell the world right now that I'm trying to get some transcripts of when I went to go make a complaint against this man at the end of 2020. And I'm alleging that when I went to the courthouse, that if I get those transcripts, that any lawyer in the world would be able to see how unprofessionally it was handled. I'm going to make the allegation that I was yelled at by the judge. I'm going to make the allegation that the judge asked me for more information on my claim, and even while I was still speaking, the judge yelled no, ran out of the courtroom, and the bailiff tried to throw me out, and a county guard laughed in my face is my allegation against this time and this courthouse in DeKalb County, Illinois. I'm making the allegation that I've asked that I asked the courthouse for camera recordings if they had them in the courthouse, but when I asked, it wasn't until a few months later, and I'm alleging that I was told that they would not be on record anymore. But I am trying to get the transcripts of this time so that any lawyer in the world could plainly see, and I would be able to make that public proof of how unprofessionally that day was handled. I'm alleging again that the judge asked me for more information. The judge's name was Judge Montgomery here in DeKalb, Illinois, and I'm alleging that the judge asked me for more information, and while I was speaking, the judge yelled no, and a bailiff tried to throw me out is my allegation against this county courthouse in DeKalb County, Illinois. So I'm also alleging that at the time that my sister died and I was being harassed, according to my allegations against these people and against this man, Jim Nicodem, to be forced to have sex with a woman named Chrystal Harness, I'm alleging that other churches also started to join his harassment. I'm making the allegation that after my sister passed away, I was so distraught and so hurt that I tried taking my sister's 2 children to a prayer group at another church here called The Rock in DeKalb, Illinois. And I'm alleging that while I was at this prayer group, I'm alleging that I have more information on this now at this time on earth than I did at that time. But I'm alleging that while I was at the prayer group, The Rock, that before we were getting ready for prayer, I'm alleging that a couple of the people there were so mad, seemed to be so mad and so mad at me and towards my family, And again, if you can remember, I just said that I just alleged that I had been harassed by this church for so long for not having sex with this woman, Chrystal Harness, and I was told by this church that I was shameful, and I was talked against and hate because I would not follow their commands. And I'm alleging that I had already been harassed by other churches at this time. So now, for some reason, I'm alleging that this day I was surprised a little bit more because I took my sister's two oldest children to a prayer group, and according to my allegation on this day of the Rock Church in DeKalb, Illinois, that it's like people started to look at me and hate. And now I can understand it according to my allegations and what has happened since then. And I'm alleging that people started to look at me and hate and tell me and started to raise their voice before the prayer group, and they even started to yell towards me and towards my nieces right before the prayer was supposed to start. I'm alleging that these people raised their voice in hatred even towards my nieces, and that it made me so angered and so distraught, but I did not know what to do. And I'm alleging that God strengthened me through this time. I'm alleging that before this happened, and around the same time that Jim Nicodem, according to my allegations, pulled me to the side and told me to the things that I've already mentioned, I'm alleging that he also told me, Jim Nicodem and another person at his church also told me that his wife is involved in his desires and what he wants. I'm alleging that Jim Nicodem and a man named Larry Breeden both spoke of Jim Nicodem's wife, whose name is Sue. I'm alleging that they both told me that she is involved and has knowledge of the things that he was trying to force me to do and the things that he told me. I'm alleging that they both told me that she is as fake as him. And I'm alleging that they said that she knows of the things that he wants, and that she has two sayings, I'm alleging, to try to force people to do things that he wants to do. And one of her sayings, I'm alleging, is that Sue Nicodem, I'm alleging Jim Nicodem and Larry Breeden both told me this. One of the sayings is that she will tell people that their life is not salty. I'm alleging that they would mean that as not being good enough for God, which I'm alleging that they told me that they would use her to try and also have people do what they want. I'm also alleging that they told me that Sue Nicodem will also tell people that God has a plan and that the devil has a plan for their life, and that they better figure out which one is which. I'm alleging that Jim Nicodem and Larry Breeden both made this a joke to me, and it was hard to sit there and listen to them say these things. But I'm alleging and claiming that God strengthened me through it so that one day I might expose them, and I'm hoping that they assume. That's why I'm asking for help in prayer. I'm alleging that it got worse than this, and when Jim Nicodem and I'm alleging Larry Breeden both pulled me to the side and told me these things about Jim Nicodem and Jim Nicodem's wife, I am also making a serious allegation and claim that Jim Nicodem himself told me that he molested all three of his children at the time that they were infants. This is my allegation against him before God. I'm alleging that Jim Nicodem told me that he molested all three of his infant children when they were infants, and I'm alleging that he laughed in my face and told me that for him, his three children were like new toys that he wanted to play with. I'm going to say that again. I'm alleging that Jim Nicodem from Christ Community Church in DeKalb and St. Charles, Illinois, and other campuses told me face to face that he molested all three of his infant children, and that he told me that his children were like new toys that he couldn't wait to get home to play with in sexual molestation. I'm alleging that he told me that, and I'm alleging that God strengthened me beyond my own reasoning to sit there and listen to them in hope that one day I would expose him. That even though I could not understand why I was going through that at the time, that somehow I understood deep inside me, I'm claiming and alleging that God strengthened me with this, and I just knew it inside of me. And that was part of my faith in God and the things that I've suffered, and I'm claiming and alleging against these people today. I'm alleging that Larry Breeden had full knowledge of this, and he is a co-worker of Jim Nicodem at their church. and that at one time, at one of their church meetings, as God strengthened me to continue to stay going through this and hope that I would expose him one day, I'm claiming and alleging that at one time I passed Larry Breeden up while I took a break from the prayer gathering that was going on, or the worship gathering, and I passed Larry Breeden up while he was with his 1 or 2 year old granddaughter, is what I'm alleging and claiming, and that he told me some very gross things once again about this man. This is my allegation and claim against Larry Breeden. I'm alleging that while he was holding the hand of his little granddaughter, that he told me that maybe this would be the year. And I'm alleging that he also harassed me for not having sex with Chrystal Harness while he was with his young granddaughter. And I'm alleging and claiming that that made me very distraught. But I'm claiming and alleging that somehow God strengthened me so that one day I might be able to expose them. And I believe that I may have some proof if I can get these transcripts back, and that if they were not doctored as many of the documents have, which I'm going to talk about here in another message or two. But this is my first message of claiming and alleging against this church, and hope that someone might hear this. And if anyone, I'm claiming and alleging that if anyone else has been harassed by these people and made to feel this way by these people, that they might come forward. And I'm hoping and claiming, even alleging, that if anyone out there has been harassed and has proof of anything that's been done to them, I'm going to make a strong, serious allegation that I believe the FBI or someone might be able to follow up on, is that in 2014, I received a strange text, and I had received strange texts for a few years up until that point, I'm alleging. But I was just the type of person that did not want to deal with those things. I wanted somebody to say something to me and not text me over the phone about it. So I'm alleging that in 2014, I received such a strange and threatening text from a number I did not know, did not want texting my phone, did not ask for. I'm alleging that that text said, if threatening him with going back there is what it takes to get him to do what he has to do, then so be it. So I'm asking if anybody would hear this, that maybe even help from the FBI might be offered to look into the number that texted me, as I can pretty much pinpoint a month or two of when that was texted. I am going to claim and allege that I have called the FBI in recent months to let them know of these things, but that it was not taken seriously. I do not hold the FBI fully accountable, but also I am distraught over it, and I'm going to say that it was not taken seriously. I'm claiming and alleging, and it may very well be on their phone records and files, that I did call to let them know of this severe harassment, and it was not taken seriously, and I was pretty much hung up on. So hopefully that can be fixed in the future, and that something might be done about this. So these are my initial claims, and these are my first claims about this church. Again, I'm claiming and alleging that I was harassed so far by Jim Nicodem. I'm claiming and alleging about the following names: Larry Breeden, Don Dumbacher, Jason Draper of Sycamore, Illinois, Don Dumbacher, formerly of DeKalb, who I believe is part of a church in Texas now, that I was harassed by these people, and that I was told by Larry Breeden and Jim Nicodem. I'm claiming that Jim Nicodem's wife, Sue, is also a part of this. Whether she has knowledge of what I'm alleging I was told about Jim Nicodem, and that he molested all 3 of his infant children, and I'm claiming that and alleging that I was told by him that they were like new toys that he wanted to play with, I do not know, but according to my allegations and claims against him, I would think and believe, I know that God knows, and I'm asking for prayer, according to my allegations, from anyone out there for God's truth and justice. So I'm going to pray real quick and then send another message out soon for more allegations and claims and more things that have happened to me. Again, I'm also claiming and alleging that I was harassed by the Rock Church in DeKalb. I'm also claiming and alleging that I was harassed by the following places: the DeKalb County Courthouse, I'm alleging that I was harassed by the DeKalb police and that the hospital here in DeKalb, Illinois, fixed documents, and with the police knowing about it, that I was severely harassed. I'm alleging, and I will speak of these things. All in harassment of me, I'm alleging, and in protecting this man, Jim Nicodem, who told me that he molested his children and wanted to rape and kill children, is my allegation against him to start with. So I will speak more of this soon and post another message with information in it. I'm asking that if anybody has proof against the things or the people that I'm speaking of, that they might come forward. So I pray, God, that you might hear these words, God, and that you know these words and that you know things, God. I'm praying you know the words that I've said according to allegations and claims. But God, you are the God of the world. You are the God who sees, and you are the God who knows the truth. And you say, God, in your word that anything that was done in darkness will be brought to light eventually, even in judgment. So I'm praying, God, according to my allegations, I'm praying for your truth and justice to be heard and said on this earth, according to the allegations of harassment that has been done to me by these people. Amen. Thank you. And if you've heard this, I ask, please, that you would pray. And I'm asking that no one on earth would send hate mail or any hateful things towards these people. As hard as that is for me to say, I don't want anyone getting in trouble. I don't want anyone to get in trouble. I believe in God, that God has caused me to know that this will only be exposed without physical force against them, but with God's power to expose them. So that is something that I believe fully from God, that nothing can be physically forced, as I've already tried to take different routes and gotten mad at these people and have sent messages to get in trouble myself. But I'm also claiming that many things have been done to cause this and have been falsified in documents to try to make it look worse. So much worse for me and so much easier on these people is my allegation against them. And I will speak of these, and I hope to get proof of these things even soon, so that the world may see how unprofessionally and wrong it was handled in the courthouse on that day. I'm alleging and I'm claiming these things, and I'm asking for prayer. I'll talk to you soon.